Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 5 Tips and Tricks for Careers in Athletics. I am your host, Dr. Maury Mosovitz, with my co-host, Jen Albanese, my favorite co-host. Hey, Jen.
Hello, Maury. How are you today? Good to see you, sir.
I'm doing well, doing well. Very excited. Super cool guest today.
Oh,
Just to have the
yes.
opportunity to talk to him and what he does with the bowl system, and like it's just such a
Something so
unique job.
different. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It'll be
so
cool to hear his
unique.
perspective. So,
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. Was getting dressed today, and my
I
daughter
know.
saw my golf shirt. She's become a very active golfer, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
She's in junior league, and
She's doing very good. Very good.
evidently, as you know, I'm not the best golfer, so I don't try to assess others on their golf skills.
Maury, why do you say you're not a good golfer? Should you tell our listeners why you're not a good golfer?
I've had some
Well, you are a
incidences.
good golfer. Yeah. Well, let's get this real. You are a good golfer. You just don't play often, but you've had some pretty funny experiences while
I
golfing.
I've had some instances where I almost hit people. My wife was sitting in the cart behind us while I was teeing off, and somehow the ball flew backwards, went into the cart, and almost hit her. And since then, she like feels like she's got to be like 100 feet away while I'm golfing. So that's been an ongoing joke. So
Oh
she
my
kind of
God.
avoids me golfing because normally instead of the ball going forwards, it's going in any other direction than it's supposed to. Um, but
So she
Lucy,
needs a helmet when she
she
golfs
needs a
with you.
helmet. Luckily, Lucy's getting experience a little bit before me, so that I did. So hopefully, she can actually make the ball go forward instead of backwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon that the ball kind of ricochets. Sometimes it actually just happened to me this past weekend. We were playing in a tournament, and our partner like group, I almost got hit twice. Love
See,
this girl,
that's
Brit. Shout out to Brittany, love you, girl, but almost killed me twice. I was sitting in the cart, it hit right underneath me on the cart, and then I was standing behind the cart, and it hit the cart and like ricocheted off. But it just takes practice, Maury.
yeah,
That's
that's
all
a
it
little
does.
nerve wracking. But and you know what? There's a shout out to you. I heard you came in second.
We did. It was so funny. So again, we both have kids, so we just don't get to do this often. Like I think
Yeah.
we would if we did it more and we were better and we would enjoy it more. So we played twice last week. I played once on Monday with my husband, played horrible, like
The
whiffed
warm
the
up
ball,
round.
like horrible. And then Saturday played like I was on the LPGA tour and we came in second and won all this money. And I was like, who am I? Like, what is happening?
Exactly.
So it was funny because I played with our mother-in-law and she was like, Jen, you would be such a good golfer if you played more often and like took it more seriously. And I'm like, I know, but I just don't have the time. Like,
I mean, I just am impressed that you did one warm up round with your husband, and then the next day you're going out killing it. So,
I mean, it was a couple of days apart. The weather was nicer on the weekend when we played.
uh,
So all of those factors. But, again, I enjoy, I think my thing is I don't take it so seriously. Like sometimes John, my husband, takes it so seriously. And I'm like,
yeah.
we're not like playing for the green jacket here. Like we're just playing for fun. And I think I just, really like I don't take it for granted when I get to go out and play because I don't play as often as I used to or I would like to. So I'm just like, hey, I'm here. Let's just enjoy it.
See,
Let's
I'm the
just
exact
play.
opposite. I'm like super self-conscious. Like everybody's looking at me like I'm gonna hit it wrong. I was like, I gotta calm down and just like
No, yeah,
enjoy it
you
for
you
the,
need
the
you
sport
need
of
a
it.
you need a beverage. You need a little bit of a
Yeah.
relaxation
All
to
things that are
enjoy
not
it.
I'm like solely focused. I'm like stressing
And
out.
I'm
Like
not saying
no.
not to be focused because you have to pay attention and like actually like concentrate when you're playing because it's you got what club am I going to hit? How many yards am I away? Like all that
Yeah.
stuff. But like we're not on the PGA tour here. Like come on.
Yeah.
So we try to enjoy it, but it is fun. It's good. I'm glad our kids are starting to like it.
Yeah,
Like
it's nice.
Lucy's playing. My son Michael is like so good at 3.
He's
Like
obsessed.
obsessed with it, like wants to go out and play
Obsessed.
in the yard and actually hits the ball really good. I should
Yeah.
post a video for everybody to see because it's pretty darn cute.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna, I mean, it's a fun thing and that we can all do as a family. So hoping to continue the golf fun in the family, but no more getting hit. Maury, like we'll work on that.
We'll just
Straight
keep
ahead.
moving forward. Moving
Straight ahead.
forward.
Not behind or to the side. Straight ahead.
And talking about looking forward, we're going to go to an ad for a little bit, and then we will be right back with our guests for the day.
Perfect.
If you're enjoying this podcast, please follow us on your favorite podcast streaming service. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast is a part of Athletic Career Consulting, a group focused on educating and guiding high school and college students looking towards careers in athletics. To find out more, go to our website at www.athcareer.com. That's ATHCAREER.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. And we have our guest today. So, Maury, would you like to do the introduction?
Absolutely. Today's guest has become synonymous with football. He started his career as a graduate assistant at Syracuse, where he helped the Orange to win against Colorado in the 1993 Fiesta Bowl. He would then go on to Notre Dame as a football administrator, coordinating all recruiting efforts, creating travel, game day itineraries, and oversaw NCAA football compliance matters. After Notre Dame, he went on to become director of operations for the New England Patriots during the team's first Super Bowl championship season. Following his time with the Patriots, he became Senior Associate Commissioner for the Big East Conference. He served as the conference primary football administrator, overseeing operations, officiating, bowl relationships, television, and scheduling. From the Big East, he went on to Under Armour as a Senior Director of College Sports, leading the brand's collegiate sports marketing efforts. Currently, he serves as the Executive Director of Bowl Season, a position he has held since 2019. In his role, he leads an organization that is responsible for the coordination and tradition of the college bowl system. Very excited to welcome to the podcast, Nick Carparelli. Welcome, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Hey. Whenever a group of Syracuse people get together to have a conversation, it's must-see TV.
And on top of it, I have such a great bio to read. It's always awesome when I get a lot to fill in. I almost had to edit it down a lot because I could have put even more in there. So it's pretty nice to have you on and share your experience with us.
Yeah, well, thanks, Maury. I've been very blessed to have so many great work experiences. I don't think about it a lot because it's probably typical. It's my life. It's just who I am and what I've done. But, oftentimes people ask me about my career and say how, crazy it is that I've worked at such great places. But I don't take it for granted. I've been very fortunate in my career and I love talking about it. So looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, we really love having you. And I mean, you're in such a unique position because there's only one person who does what you do in overseeing the bowl system. And just a little background about that before we go into things, or just some insight on it. It's such an interesting thing.
It is. It's a very niche job. When I talk to young people who I have the good fortune to mentor, whether they're sports management majors at the Fox School or others, I often talk about, your journey and your destination and not knowing where you're going to go. And I couldn't have imagined having this job when I was in college. I didn't even know this was a job, but you just kind of follow your best opportunities. You do a great job. I think this current job is really a culmination of all my other jobs. I wear all the hats in this job, from intern, the 43 bowl executive directors to the 9 conference commissioners, head coaches, athletic directors across the country. But I'm also, marketing and promoting the bowl system as a whole and speaking to the media and coming up with creative ways to celebrate college football in December and January every season. So it's a fun job and I'm lucky to have it.
Well, it's awesome. We're really lucky to have you. And with that, let's get started on your first tip or trick.
Sure. So a little cliche, I bet you a lot of people would say this one, but I'm going to start out with work hard. Cliche, but probably the most important. I don't know too many lazy people who are successful, if you think about it. Unless you were born with some elite skill and some elite talent, you're going to have to work hard. Because if you think about it, there's so many things that are out of your control. You can't control how tall you are, how athletic you are, how much innate intelligence you have. You could certainly hone those skills, but you can control how hard you work. And what is your edge in life going to be if you weren't born with some crazy skill? Most people don't work hard. So fortunately for the people that do, that can be your edge. And the people that do work hard tend to be very successful.
I mean, surprising. We haven't had a ton of people say work hard. So I think it's actually a really good one. And for people that that have been around Jen and I, it's definitely a cornerstone of what we do, because it's hard to get through the day if you don't put people around you that work hard, because there's a lot going on in any, I think, level of athletics. So it's definitely something that I'd agree with.
Yeah.
It is for sure. Yeah, I mean, you think about us, me starting my career at Syracuse, working for Paul Pasqualoni, who was the head football coach at the time, and Jake Krauthammer was the AD. They were probably the hardest working. We were probably the hardest working athletic department in America, and you kind of had to be. That's one of the things I love about Syracuse. Like everything that people from Syracuse have, they earn, right? And it's all about the people there and how hard they work, how passionate they are about the place. And that's been Syracuse's edge. If you want to talk about college athletics and where Syracuse fits in, and that could be a whole nother podcast. We're not going to out resource. We don't have the most sunshine, but I tell you, the people that come through Syracuse are some of the most, high quality, high character individuals. And when Syracuse has been successful, it's been because of really good, hardworking people.
And it sounds so simple when you say hardworking. Like like you said, it's so cliche, it's so simple, but some people don't understand that. They think that, oh, things are just handed to you. Like there's all this kind of, you still have to put forth that effort and show up and do the right thing and go the extra mile. And it's so simple, but it's so important. It makes a difference.
So much.
I laugh because a lot of people don't like Syracuse and working hard. I always think about, and Nick, that the Dome and what it takes to do what happens up there. And that's where I got my kind of work ethic background from was, a lot of people show up and like, oh, this building is just kind of this way, but it takes so much work to get that set up and go between football and basketball. And you might not sleep a couple days because you're working a game and then switching it over. But like, that's what it takes in the business. And, from your experience from being up here during the days with the Dome, like that's where the staff, I feel, of Syracuse University really, I feel like, gets their edge on work hard. And then everybody else that's around that group, like it's kind of infectious. You can't not, put in everything that you got when they're busting their tails.
No doubt. I've known Pete Sala a long time. I knew Pete's dad when I was in GA. Pete's dad was running the Dome, and then Pete took over. And obviously, Pete has, runs the facilities across campus now. But I think you're right. I think when things are hard and it takes hard work to get it done, the sense of accomplishment you have when it does get done, and the bonding that you create with the people who you did it with. So, anybody who wants to take a shot at Syracuse in the snow or whatever, I love Syracuse because it's hard, not because it's easy.
All right. We tell every intern, if you want to get a taste of what it's like, go do a changeover at the Dome. And if you want any sort of experience, go do a changeover at the Dome.
It's
awesome, Nick. There's nothing else like it. Okay, Nick, number 2, what do you got?
Number 2, be resourceful. That's one I'm guessing you really probably don't hear a lot. It's one I really believe in. It's not often does anything worthwhile come easy, right? There's a lot of roadblocks along the way. You're going to get a lot of no's for an answer. But there are certain things that no is not an acceptable answer. It just has to get done in order to be successful, in order for your team to succeed. If the first plan of attack doesn't work, try another one. Just find a way to get the job done. That's Coach Belichick was one of my bosses. Just do your job, right? I can promise you, working for Coach Belichick was not easy. Working for Coach Pasqualoni was not easy. If either one of them asked me to get something done that was a reasonable request, there was no chance I was going to come back with no, or I can't get it done. It was not an option. So being resourceful, finding a way to get things done when there's adversity and roadblocks in your way is a skill that I think more people should have.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine right now with what you're dealing with so many different organizations that you have to pull together to get the bowl season off, that you're constantly looking for resources and how to connect people from one thing to another because it's such a large undertaking.
No doubt. Well, you use the word resources. That's a form of the word resourceful, right? So in order to be resourceful, you have to tap into as many resources as you can, maximize your resources. If you rely on one person to help you with something and they can't do it, we'll find somebody else that can. And that folds in so many other things. Your network of people that you've come across over the course of your life that you can rely on. Not everybody's going to help you with everything, but if you have enough people in your corner, you're going to find one that can handle the task at hand for you.
Awesome.
Yeah, that one's good. Because, I think sometimes people too, in situations think, oh, everybody just has unlimited money and unlimited staff and everybody has all this support. And a lot of times in college athletics specifically, you got to be able to do a lot of different jobs and try to be as creative as possible. I mean, I know in marketing, we don't have an unlimited budget. So we got to try to be creative and find ways to do things with less staff. And so there's like the perception of like, oh, you've got all of this, but you've got to be resourceful because you really don't. So
yeah, Jen, that's so good. I'm glad you brought up money because a lot of people, well, I guess you have to have money to do this, but a lot of people,
right.
They'll throw money at a problem to make it go away, and
not always the answer.
It's not always the answer. It's never the best answer. Sometimes it's not even an option, depending on versus ours. So being resourceful and finding ways to operate at a really, really elite level without a lot of financial resources. I go back to that's what's made Syracuse great in the past and is going to make Syracuse great, continue to make Syracuse great in the future, because we're not going to out-resource people. We're not going to have as much money as SEC teams. That's okay. We don't need it because our people are better and we're going to find a way to get it done.
Exactly.
You take what you have and you make it go as far as you can make it go. We're working on a building project right now, and it's an awesome building. It's going to be amazing, but every square inch has been how can we make this most impactful out of what we got? And it's been, been a cornerstone of kind of what we're doing with that project. So I feel that like every day lately.
Yeah.
Every day I talk about money.
Well, money's important. There's no doubt about it. But people become
it's not everything.
Yeah. It's not everything. Like if money was the most important thing, Texas would have won the national championship in football, basketball, and everything else every year. But they haven't done either in a while. So it's more than money. At some point, I think everybody has enough. Right, you got to take what you have and maximize it.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yep. Good
okay, two awesome ones. Going for number 3.
All right. Be disciplined. I'm a big believer in discipline. Most people don't really know what discipline means. They hear the word all the time. They misuse it. You can achieve a lot in life and be as successful as you want, but it's going to take some sacrifice. That's where the discipline comes in. How willing are you to give up something in the short term to achieve what you want in the long term? That's something I tell my sons all the time. I have 2 sons. They're 19 and 22. That was my go-to. Whenever they'd say they want something down the road, they want to be, play college basketball, they want to do this, they want to do that, but sometimes maybe they have moments of laziness, and I tell them short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. It's easier said than done, but that's where the discipline comes in. There's a motivational speaker named Inky Johnson who I absolutely love. He played football at Tennessee. He was a sure first-round draft pick, and like the second to last game of his career, he paralyzed his left arm, and it changed his life. And he'll say for the good because it gives him different perspective. And anyways, one of the things, there's so many definitions of discipline. He likes to say discipline is being true to your word even when the mood you set it in has passed. And I think that's the essence of discipline. Yeah. It's very easy for us to say, well, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to take care of myself better. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to eat better. Whatever you think you want to do. It's easy to say that in a moment where you're calm, you're relaxed, you're comfortable, you're having a logical conversation with someone. But what happens when things get stressful, when you come home from work late and you're tired or you're inconvenienced in some way? Are you going to be true to your word even when the mood you set it in is past? And for me, that's kind of the essence of discipline. So important to being successful.
Yeah,
No,
it's easier said than done too. Like you said, you can talk the talk, but can you walk the walk with that? Because you can say, "Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that," but you actually have to put it into practice for it to be successful. So that's a really good one. You're talking about the working out. I'm like, God, he's talking to me. I'm like, I said I was going to work out. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, I mean, that's a good one.
You
It's
know?
easy for people to be undisciplined working out. It's an easy thing to cut out, but like sometimes it's just showing up and doing something. Working
Yep.
out's a good example. Like, if you think you need to work out an hour and a half, and you just don't have that time, and you show up and you put in 45 minutes, that's 80% of putting in a full workout, just showing up,
Right.
getting something done, and that can apply to anything you do, really.
and I
Mm-hmm.
think people forget, especially young people coming up, that it is something that people are evaluating you on, whether or not you're expecting it or not. You kind of, I know that I look at people on my staff or people that I work with and see like, okay, can they maintain this momentum that they've created, or maintain this way that they're operating? And if they can't, now how are we going to address it, and what does that mean for them as an employee? So a lot of people, I don't think about things that way, or they think about it maybe in working out, or
Right.
maybe in doing these other things in life. But really, in your work life, it's something that, as a supervisor, it's something people look for.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Are you going to do your job consistently, or are you going to not do it so well when you're having a bad day?
Yeah.
I think being disciplined to do it the right way. It ties into working hard. It all ties in together. If you're going to do it the right way all the time, be disciplined to get the job done when you're not having your best moment. That's what brings value to an organization. That's what makes you valuable to your boss, to your employer. And you're 100% right. People don't realize that it's all of our jobs to make our boss's job easier,
Yeah.
right? And to
Mm-hmm.
make our enterprise, our company, wherever we work, to make them better by us bringing the best version every day, and discipline comes into that.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Really good one. Okay,
Yes.
number 4.
Number 4, this one I love, and this one I tell to anybody who I can: have a diverse group of friends.
Oh,
And I mean that in two ways. Typically, when you say the word diverse or diversity, everybody thinks race, religion, and gender. And that's very important. It's important in every situation, especially in leadership positions, because what you do is not just about you. So if you're leading a group of people, and especially if they're very diverse, but pretty much every group has some diversity, it's important to know how people who are different than you think, act, and perceive the world in order to be a good leader. So, race, religion, and gender is part of that. But when I say a diverse group of friends, I also think of age, in age groups. Every age group thinks and acts differently based on the perspective of their generation. And when you think about it, most of our friends are the same age as we are, right? However
Right.
old you are, logically. So I'm 55, so most of my friends that I went to college with or went to high school with, they're my age, right? But I have friends that are in their 40s, 30s, even my son's friends that are in their 20s and their teens. I don't know if necessarily they're my friends, but I'm around them a lot, and I love bantering with them about things that they do versus when I do, and just hearing their perspective. And going in the other direction, I have friends that are 60, 70, 80. I have a friend who's 94 years old. He's amazing.
Oh my
He's active.
God.
We play golf. He's
Oh,
very, very successful. I can't pick his brain enough on like what he did to live this long. Well, selfishly, I want to know that.
what's the secret
Yeah,
there?
yeah, exactly. But then also like how he tackled every phase of his life. What challenges does he have at this age that he could have never anticipated when he was younger? What different eras in the last 94 years were like? I don't think we tap into the wisdom of people who are much older than us enough. People that have had the benefit of experience
Yeah.
that we don't. Boy, if I had the experience that I have now 30 years ago, what would I have done differently? So I think we're shortchanging ourselves. So having a diverse group of friends is really important.
that's
We have
awesome. That's definitely one no one has
No,
said
I
yet.
was
So
just gonna say
you've
we
been on
have
the
not heard
pinnacle.
that one. That one's so good. That one's so good.
But the thing for me is like, and I feel like I've thought about it recently, is like, there's some things that we'll never understand of a different generation. Like, I think about my children, like they'll never know what a regular phone was like, or like my grandparents had a rotary phone, and that's just nothing that they'd ever know about
Yep.
or understand.
Yep.
And there's something to that, difference that I probably won't understand technology ever as well as they will, because that's their native language at this point. And what people can share that have been in a different phase of their life, it's kind of weird when you think about it. Well, interesting really about what, how their perspective might make you think a little bit differently about where you're coming from with things.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly regular activities that are different, right? So
Yeah.
like younger people don't know about what it's like to get up off your couch and have to change the
Oh my,
channel
Yeah.
by
right?
pushing a button on the
Yes.
TV, right?
Yes, yes.
I miss getting the newspaper in my driveway and sitting on the porch reading it,
Yeah.
and unfolding the papers. And it's not about
Right.
finding information I want to find, but it's about having information in my face that I might not otherwise look up, right? So I learn things. Um, I kind of fear things are easier nowadays, easier to communicate, easier to there's a device for everything. I think that's hindering the resourcefulness we talked
Yeah.
about earlier.
Yeah.
But I don't care what kind of technology you have, you're always going to find a moment where that doesn't work, and you have to be resourceful. So I hope the younger generation can continue to find ways to be resourceful.
Yeah. And
That's right.
even I was listening to something recently about like communal experiences and what young people kind of perceive as communal, because going to a movie or going to a sporting event is was this way that the everyone came together and the culture comes together. And now a lot of it's communal in their world is through a digital lens, that it's through tweeting or talking across on this quick response, and not necessarily physically being with everybody. And I thought that was such an interesting kind of
Mm.
thought about how generationally things are changing, and like what that might mean in the business of athletics, or what it might mean in our culture. And it just thinking about having friends that you can go to, or talking to people to say, okay, how do we tap into this? How do we maybe change mindsets that make people want to do these things that we've done previously? And what an interesting topic.
Yeah, and when you're in sports marketing, you have to appeal to all those different age groups. You
Correct.
have
Right.
the
Right.
you have you have the old timers that have been going to games forever, and they know how they want to get to a game. They
Yep.
probably want a paper ticket in their hand, but maybe they
Yep.
can't anymore. They want to buy a game program and a
Yeah,
scorecard.
it's not
Yep.
there.
And then you have the younger
All of those
generation.
things. Yes.
Yeah, then you have
Yes.
the younger
All of those
generation
things.
that wants the live stats on their phone
Right.
constantly, and the older generation will be looking at the younger generation. Why are you staring at your phone? You should be paying
You're
attention to the
watching
game.
the
And say, I
game.
am paying
Exactly.
attention to the game. I'm getting
It's on
I'm
my
getting the
phone.
stat updates. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
gotta know what triggers every age group.
Yeah,
No,
it's as
that
simple as the music that we pick. What does
yeah.
that person want to listen to, as opposed to what the students want to
Yeah,
listen
that's a
to,
good
with
one. Yep.
what families and younger kids who are there, that demographic. Yeah, those are all the challenges that I think people forget about when you're talking about going to a sporting event. It's like, what do I want to listen to? Well, it's really not about me. It's about what everybody else wants to listen to. So
Yeah.
So
it's
When I was at Notre Dame, we let the players pick the pregame music, and it was my job to listen to it and make sure it was
yeah.
somewhat appropriate.
that's
And
me. That's me.
this,
That's my job.
yeah, yeah. So this was in 2000, and
Oh,
Guns N' Roses' "Welcome to the Jungle" was popular, and I listened to that. I'm like, what could be wrong with that? So uh, there's no swearing or whatever, and I got in trouble because there were some older alumni that complained after that. I'm going to make you bleed
oh my
was not
goodness.
appropriate to be said. I mean, who would have thought that?
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you talk, the younger generation wanted that song, and that was the players felt that would get them hyped up a little bit, and the old timers didn't like it. So can't please everybody.
No.
Yep, I feel
Well,
you.
what we
That's a
learned
good
is
one.
Jen and I need to expand our friend base. So that's we're going to go out there and find people
Okay.
from 100 to 18 and make sure that we're hitting that up, because that's a great tip.
That is such
Well,
a good one.
you got a friend in his 50s sitting right here, so you can check out
Awesome.
that decade.
All right, I'll send you the playlist and you can tell me
All
what you
right.
think.
All right.
Okay, Jen, this is your claim to fame. Throw out that last question.
All right, so the last question is, what do you know now that you wish you knew then? And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what do you know now at this point in your career that you wish you knew when you first started?
Yeah, that's a good one. So this could probably be my fifth tip, but um, it fills both bills. I feel fortunate that I did this enough throughout my career, but the what it is enjoying the journey and embracing the process, right? And there's so many benefits to that because when you think about it, most of us don't know what we want to be when we grow up, right?
Right.
But that's okay, right? We need to stop fixating on the destination and enjoy the journey itself, right? Life's not a series of milestones. It's a continuous journey of self-discovery, personal evolution, and it's the journey that teaches you about your destination. So I said earlier, I couldn't have anticipated being where I am now. Every job I had, it was the best job in the world at the time I had it to me. I couldn't have anticipated any of those. And if I had said when I was 20, hey, this is what I want to be, I would have wasted so much time chasing something that, you know what, maybe at the end of the day, it wasn't all it's cracked up to be when you get there. Too many
Right.
people get caught up on setting big goals and aspirations, but maybe it's the wrong thing for you. Not that you shouldn't dream big, but don't let the end get in the way of the moments and memories you experience along the way, because it's those experiences that build upon themselves, and they open the door and prepare you for the next opportunity. So the journey really is the reward, not
Yeah.
the final destination. And I use so this topic. I spoke at a high school graduation. I gave the commencement speech, which was another new one for me a couple weeks ago, and
Nice.
That's awesome.
that was my topic. And to kind of hammer the point home, going back to Bill Belichick again, he is famous and was hanging up famous for a lot of things, but this slogan, "Do your job," was on the wall in our facility. Very simple, just do your job. Nothing about winning championships, nothing about celebrating victories, nothing about the final destination. Just do your job. And he had a caveat to it, which was kind of unspoken: do your job well.
Right.
Because you can't always control the outcome, but you can control the process. Just work hard, be a good person, treat people with respect. Focusing on the process and embracing it will deliver the desired outcome, even if you don't know what the desired outcome is.
Yeah.
So, like I said, that's kind of my fifth tip, but it's also, I wish I had a better understanding of that when I was younger, because maybe I would have enjoyed certain moments in my life a little bit more than I did.
That's such a good one, because I think, especially when you're younger, your goal is like, oh, I want to be the AD. Oh, I want to get to professional. And you forget about all the steps that it's going to take to get you there, and to enjoy those steps really is something that I don't think people realize. Like you said, they're just trying to reach that last point. And it's like, you have a long career ahead of you, a long journey to go. Like, take it one step at a time. I love that. I think that's really good. I need to remind myself of that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know what my last point is. I was fortunate. I enjoyed. I said this before, but I literally let me put it this way: when I write a book, it's going to be the best job in sports, how I got it 6 times, because literally from a GA for Coach Pasqualoni at Syracuse when we went to the Fiesta Bowl, and we were really good, and then being a recruiting coordinator at Notre Dame, and then working for Bill Belichick and having a Super Bowl ring, and then working for the Big East. I grew up a Big East fan, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the greatest job. And then Under Armour hired me to do multi-million-dollar deals, outfitting schools, and that was really cool. And now I run, one of the most fun times of year on the sports calendar. I couldn't have done any of those jobs without having done the previous ones first.
Right.
And every job I had, I loved doing it. I was proud to have the job. I was passionate about the job. I was qualified to do it. But at the same time, the job challenged me enough to help me get better, and ultimately led me to be qualified for the next job. And each job built on itself. If you asked me at 20, what's your dream job? I probably would have said president of the Yankees, but if you gave me that job at that point, I'd have failed miserably. So
Right.
it's really about the process in terms of enjoying the process, but also embracing it as part of your journey that's going to get you to where you're going to be.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, when you write that book, Jen and I will be the first in line to buy a copy because it sounds pretty awesome. So please make sure
I'll
let
just
us
need
know when it's finished.
I'll need a signature. We'll need a signature.
Not a problem. I can do that.
Oh, that was great.
This was
That's
awesome. Thanks, Nick, so much for your time. We've really enjoyed you being on the show, and thank you for everything. We look forward to the bowl season. We know we're just starting the beginning of football, but it's always great to get to that end point. So thank you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. It's great. It was great visiting with you, and I look forward to seeing you in person next time I'm up on campus.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
we'll be
Nick.
there. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Everybody check out the 5 Tips and Tricks podcast. Make sure to follow us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
If you like the 5 Tips and Tricks podcast, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can rate and review us, including questions that may be answered on future episodes. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast for careers in athletics is part of Athletic Career Consulting. Check us out at www.athcareer.com. Don't forget to follow and like us on your top social media platforms.